Welcome. We are a mother-daughter podcast about all things surrogacy. Together, we have brought 8 beautiful babies into this world, and we would like to share through education and knowledge about surrogacy with those who want to educate themselves on the topic. This is Stop.Sit.Surrogate.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Stop.Sit.Surrogate with Kennedy and Ellen, and we have a wonderful guest joining us today to share her story. We're going to let you go ahead and introduce yourself. Take it away.
My name is Ashleigh Donahue. I am a 3-time surrogate. I'm now retired officially. Thank goodness. I did 3 journeys I started my first one in 2020 and just delivered this March. So 3 journeys in about 5 years.
I did that too. Wow, it's a lot.
I did that if you put them together.
Girl,
yeah.
It's a lot.
You don't realize how much it is until you've recovered.
Yes. Yes. And I was talking to somebody, I'm a perinatal mental health therapist. That's my actual job. It is a super fun job. And I was at a conference and I went to a workshop on supporting intended parents who are building their family through surrogacy. And so I just happened to be speaking with the presenter, and she was talking about, how there's really no research about any of this. And I said, I'd love to do this presentation from the other side. And I was kind of telling her about my journey. And I said, I have birthed 5 babies in 9 years, with my 2 and then the 3 surro babes. So I'm like, we're wrapping it up in the fertility world here at my house.
Wow.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
Those hormones, man.
That's a lot on your body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And your mental health. Oh my God, everything. Okay.
Yeah.
But you look super positive,
I would have never guessed that.
And healthy and
20.
Yeah,
2025.
It's 5 years, she said.
5 years.
Pandemic.
Yeah.
Look at you doing it in the pandemic a couple of times.
That was an experience. That was my very
though?
First journey. We matched in January of 2020. I was supposed to go to LA for med screening St. Patrick's Day of 2020. Obviously, that didn't happen because the world literally shut down.
Wow.
Did my med screening locally instead, and then ended up getting clearance and all of that, and was able to transfer August of 2020. But traveled in the midst of, all the craziness to Los Angeles, where it was, just absolute. Everything was closed. There was no traffic in LA, which is unheard of.
Yes.
Will not be the same way the next time I go to LA next year for a conference. I'm sure I will have a very different experience, but it was truly wild. And so we transferred in August. I delivered in April, applied for another journey in the next August.
Okay.
And so applied for my next journey 4 months later, less than 4 months. I think it was 3.5 months later. And then by the time I was just over 9 months postpartum, had already transferred again with a different family. It was just once I got kind of bitten by the surrogacy bug, I just was like, I want to do this as many times as I can.
Yeah.
And it just I didn't even really want to wait. I was like, let's go again. And I probably would have gone faster had the doctors been like, yeah, sure. But we all know what that does to our bodies. And
I'm surprised they let you transfer within 9 months of having a baby. I'm really surprised on that one. Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I am too. And now anybody I talk to, I'm like, please wait at least a year.
Right.
Yeah. But the thing is, you can't, you can get, clinics will see you 6 months after if you have a vaginal delivery.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because
a lot of times they won't transfer you until you're close to a year.
Right.
Most clinics and agencies, that's their policies.
I transferred a year to the day from my first to my second, that. But it's so fun because I was like, oh, she transferred August of 2020. So did I. So her baby was born in April, but mine came early. So that was a March, but it would have been fun to know you.
Well, and my most recent surro babe was due in April and was born in March. He was born at 36 weeks. So we were about a month early.
Okay.
Yeah, same here.
Right,
okay, so then the fun question that we always ask, how did you find out about surrogacy?
Yeah.
I am a huge fan of the show Friends.
Yeah.
And I remember watching Phoebe carry the triplets for her brother and thinking, that is the coolest thing ever. And then forgetting about it for years
Sure.
until I was rewatching it as an adult, actually during maternity leave with my youngest child, and was like, oh yeah, that's a thing. I could do that. Like I was done with my family, but I didn't want to be done being pregnant. So I was like, I'm gonna look into this, see what this process is, and just kind of like went down this rabbit hole. I'm very into astrology and I'm an Aries. So as soon as I decide on something, I go for it like immediately. So I decided April of 2019 I was going to do this. My husband was the reason that we kind of held off a little bit. He was like, let's just relax a little.
Sure.
And I had applied by November and got the ball rolling after that. So um,
Good
it,
for
it
you.
was it was something I was very excited about.
Wow.
That's very cool. I do like it because I mean, when you say, because like, a lot of people are like, oh, it's Friends. It's Friends. Like, that's where I found it. And it's like, and I
Yeah.
constantly go in my head, I'm like, why is it Friends? Like, why is that the only positive experience that we all see? I won't
Yeah.
get on a rant, but like, it's
Right.
so funny because it's just nobody else ever says any other show. I've seen
Right.
shows where there's
Hmm.
surrogates, but
Hmm.
it's negativity or, it's false.
Right.
And
Right.
Phoebe's the closest, not accurate, but closest you
Yeah.
could get to a
Right.
journey.
Yeah. That's
Which is
not how
also so
triplets go down.
wild. No, and it's also so wild that that was 30 years ago
Right. In the
that
90s, I think is
aired
when it
in the
came out.
90s.
Yeah.
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 That, we were having these conversations on TV.
Yeah.
And I mean, we all know surrogacy's been around for a while and
Centuries.
obviously it looked different, when surrogacy first started. But,
Yeah.
Yeah.
to have that in a show that was so popular 30 years ago
That's
is
groundbreaking.
just
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah.
Yes,
Hmm.
It's so
absolutely.
fun. Now I have
Yeah.
to go watch Friends after this.
Yeah.
So,
Ah, that's okay.
okay, so you decided to look for an agency. Well,
Mhm.
hold on. You got matched in January. You were
Yeah.
looking in November of 2019.
Yeah. So I was kind of looking over that summer. Honestly, didn't do like a ton of research because I really didn't do much research. I found an agency that's local to me.
There you
I'm just outside of Boston. So the agency that I went with is based in Boston. And I was, I really had no idea how any of it worked and
go.
thought, well, they're here, so I'll go with them.
Right.
It ended up being an okay choice for me. But I really didn't do as much research as I now recommend to people when they
Mhm.
talk about being interested in surrogacy. I'm like, please just like slow down, do your research, look and talk to agencies, look into independent journeys if that's something you're thinking about. Like, there's just so many ways to do this
Yeah.
Mhm.
that, I wish I had taken a little bit more time and just like thought about it and done more research. Thankfully, it all worked out though.
Yeah.
Well, good. Okay, so did you find them on Google?
Hmm.
I'm
Okay.
assuming. Yeah.
Yep.
The
Yep.
way
I
of the
did the
land.
whole surrogacy agency, and then Google asked, do you want to share your location? And
Uh,
that's what popped up.
oh, so
Okay.
fun.
Okay, so you're with this, so then you go with this agency, and are they the kind, I'm always so curious, like,
Yeah.
did you get to see the profile or were they like, hey, someone's interested in you?
It was a kind of mutual thing. So I put together my profile and then they sent it to intended parents the same day that I would get an intended parent profile.
Okay.
Um, and it was kind of like, you know, Ashley, what do you want in intended parents? And
Right.
so I had, a list of criteria. I wanted a domestic journey, preferably somebody that was somewhat close by. I didn't really care if it was a same-sex couple, heterosexual couple, did not matter to me. Was okay with single parents. It was more important to me that it was somebody that was close by and also wanted a relationship. That was really big for me. And so I was given a profile. The first few, it just didn't work out. And then finally, I think it was my third or fourth profile that I was given that I finally was like, this is a couple I would want to move forward with. And so from there we scheduled our Zoom call because they had said the same about me.
Good.
And then it was a match.
Wow.
Can I say good for you? I'm like
Yeah.
snaps over here because you were like, and this is no diss to like a first time
Mm,
surrogate because I was a
yeah,
first time surrogate and I was like, sure, you handed me a person and this is who I'm
right.
with. Like, I said no to the first one they handed me because they didn't speak English and I was like, that's not gonna go great. But then they
Yeah.
handed me somebody else and luckily it turned out fine.
Mhm.
But to be a first time surrogate and be like, yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
not for me. That's
It's not
Yeah.
hitting my
that
wants. Hmm.
yeah, that takes
Yeah.
a lot
Yeah.
for
Mm,
a brave. I don't even want to say bravery. It just takes a lot, like, because you don't want to.
yeah.
We don't want to be the problem people, and we're always afraid, like,
Right.
if we say something, are we
Hmm.
gonna rock the boat? And it's like, no, it's
Right.
okay.
But because there is so much more
Right.
conversation
Yeah.
now, and people know it's okay to
Hmm.
say, I don't have to take the first person you give me. Back 20, 30, 20 years, you couldn't. You took what
Yeah.
they gave you, and that was
Right.
because the waiting list was so long and they couldn't wait to get the surrogates in. And here you go, next on the list,
Right.
next on the list. And that's why
Yeah.
so many of those were downhill so fast.
Hmm.
They didn't
Hmm.
take the time. Yeah, it was sad.
Right. And I do think it's so important because, I mean, first of all, intended parents have to put so much trust in a surrogate, but
Mhm.
also surrogates put so much trust in intended parents. You
Yes.
know, there needs to be that, even if it is a purely transactional relationship,
Mhm.
you do have to have trust in the people that you're helping because they do hold some power in how a journey goes and they're, you know, you're kind of tied to that person for potentially, or those people for potentially 2 years
Yeah.
between,
Yeah,
you know, anything that can happen over the course of surrogacy.
Yes.
a lot, a
Yep.
lot too. A lot can happen, and so yes,
Tons.
absolutely.
Hmm.
Okay, so you found your people,
Yeah.
and so my gosh, because you're in 2020, I have to like go back
Yeah.
to
Do you
COVID
remember
times.
any of the med protocol back then? And did they
I
widely
do.
vary? Okay.
I actually, so I did, so I, like I said, I've done the 3 journeys, two different couples. So the first set of intended parents I carried for, they were, they had twins from a previous journey and
Mhm.
were completing their family with our journey. Um, and they knew going into that like this was it. We were going to do, you know, potentially our 3 transfers, you know, see what happens. And then that was it for them. And then I matched with a second couple, and I'll obviously get into all the details of all of those things. But and it was 2 different clinics. So um,
Right.
my first transfer took with the first set of intended parents, and with that med protocol, it was very the way the clinic described it is very standard. Like this is what we do. You come in for well, obviously I didn't go there for med screening because it was 2020, but they were like, you go in for med screening on this day of your cycle.
Mhm.
And then, you know, once you get your clearance, you call us as soon as you start your period. And then you're going to start your meds. You're
Right.
going to have a transfer on exactly this day. And that was that. It was very, like, very regimented. I had the entire calendar
Right.
before transfer day, which was, I mean, before we even started medications, which was wonderful because I am very much a planner.
Yes.
So I was like, I know exactly what I'm doing. I know
Right.
how to plan. I know what to have prepared. And then with the second clinic I worked with, my intended parents only had 1 embryo. So we were very kind of superstitious about the fact that it worked the first time. And this clinic is pretty much known for doing natural cycles. And we pushed back a lot on keeping protocols the same because it worked the first time. We knew what to
Sure.
expect. We were like, this worked. We're going to do it. Had the transfer not worked, I'm sure that there would have been a discussion, but it worked again. The first time they had the 1 embryo. He is now
Oh,
almost 3 years old.
oh,
And same thing with our third journey. That was a sibling journey. And again, we pushed back and said, we want to keep everything exactly the same. Again, they only had 1 embryo. Again, it worked.
wow. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Wow.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
I feel like I have not talked to many surrogates that have gone 3 for 3. Usually I feel like there's been something that's happened, a canceled
Yeah.
cycle, a failed transfer, you know, a loss, something. And
Yeah.
I'm so truly thankful that I didn't experience any of that, mostly for my intended parents, especially the couple that only had one each time.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. My
yeah.
I came across somebody because well, now I'm 3 for 4, but I
Mm,
was 3 for 3 before this fourth journey.
mm,
And somewhere along the way, somebody called me a unicorn. And I'm like, why am I a unicorn? What do you mean I'm a unicorn? And they're like, because people who, and I was like, gosh darn it, you just jinxed me.
Yeah.
Because they're like,
yes.
they're like,
Yeah.
because it took each time, the first time, I'm like,
Mhm.
why put it out in the
Yeah.
atmosphere? Just let's
Yeah.
not call people, like, it's fine. We don't,
Right.
I understand, but it is very
Yeah.
rare because there's so many
So rare.
people in the,
Hmm.
in life, IVF in
Mm,
general,
yeah.
like
Yeah.
everything.
Hmm.
It's such a wild thing, especially when it
Yeah.
takes and then it takes and then it takes, and then for
Yeah.
it not to take, but you didn't
Yeah.
experience. But yeah, but then for it not to
Yeah.
take, you're like, what? Yeah, but no, that's very
Awesome.
nice, especially since they had
Mm.
one embryo each.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's been
So
there. That's
were
stressful.
were any of these three sibling journeys for the same family? No, just
So the second two journeys were the same family.
second
Mhm.
two journeys with the same
Hmm.
family. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So they have an almost 3-year-old and a kind of a not newborn,
Yeah.
but yeah.
He is going to be 4 months old on Saturday. Yeah.
Nice.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
fun.
That's
Oh my
super fun.
gosh.
Okay. So how did your first journey pregnancy go?
It was the easiest of all 5 pregnancies I've had. If I could guarantee that every pregnancy I could have would be that one, I
Yeah.
would have been pregnant 100 times.
Right.
Sure.
The only the only thing I ever complained about was I I didn't have cravings, I had food aversions.
Ah,
Oh,
I couldn't eat meat, and I'm somebody who like eats meat with every meal pretty much, and I couldn't look at it, I couldn't smell it.
oh,
It was a no-go for me.
wow.
Um, but other than that, I felt great. Um,
Awesome.
and which was also really nice given that it was 2020
Yes.
and
right.
OB care looked different. I was very thankful that I did not have an OB office that shut down and did
Yeah.
virtual care. I was still able to go in for all of my regular prenatal care. Ultrasounds looked a little different. Now that I've done other surrogacy journeys and been kind of labeled higher risk,
Okay.
I know that I didn't have as many ultrasounds in that pregnancy as I would have if the pandemic weren't happening. But our hospital's even really great. They let the intended parents come in for, the big ultrasounds. They were there. I know they were there for the 20 week. I'm trying to remember if they were there for the 12 or not. I feel like that was like a bajillion years ago.
Yeah.
But I know
Oh,
for sure they were there for our anatomy scan, which,
aw.
I mean, they weren't even letting partners in the room.
Mm-mm. That's
So it
great.
was truly unheard of that
Gosh,
they were
could you
there.
say that again? They weren't even letting partners in the
They
room in
weren't.
2020,
Yeah.
right?
That
Yeah.
No one was
It
allowed in. Yeah.
seems so
no
long
one was
ago.
allowed.
Jesus.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
It
It
was,
feels
it's
so
so
long ago, but it also feels like yesterday.
Yeah.
right.
Right. Right.
It's
It's just,
wild.
it's such a wildly different experience. Like, it's
Hmm.
like, it's just engraved in our memories forever
Yeah.
because it's just so
Mm.
different.
So different.
Oh,
Did
different.
you
Yes.
did you carry full term for that one, the first one?
Yes. So I was induced at 39.8. She came at 39.9.
Okay.
Um, and was a beautiful 8 pounds,
Oh.
4 ounces, I think 4 ounces, somewhere around there. So, came out very healthy and is now 4.5 and or no, almost 4.5 and is, you know, living her best life with her dads and her brothers
I
and
love it.
Oh,
you
That's so
they're
awesome.
and I still get pictures and updates and
Oh.
um they're a little further away from me than my second set of intended parents, so I don't get to see them quite as often, but it was really important to me, like I said, to have an ongoing relationship. And so I'm really thankful that I
Yeah.
still get those updates. And, birthdays are a big one. I always send a gift. They always send,
Oh,
pictures and
sweet.
texts and updates. And it's just, to be able to be a part of someone's story like that is just so unique and is an experience I will never not be completely amazed by.
Yeah. And as the
I
kids
love
get
that.
older, they're
Mm.
going to be fascinated and amazed by it too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And
Thank
it
you
is
so
really
much.
great because, with that, with that family, her dads are really vocal about surrogacy. They talked about their journeys. They, were in articles about their twin pregnancy. They did a whole Instagram series for some baby company, I don't remember which one, talking about, the experience of being two dads
Mm.
who, had to build their family through surrogacy so they could have a biological child.
Right.
And it was just so cool to be able to see that, like, like we said, like surrogacy hasn't always been painted in the best light in many different forms of media. And so to have such a positive experience out there,
Yeah.
it was just so cool. And those kids will always get to see where they came from and how they started.
Yep.
And how loved
And
they
much they
are.
were
Like,
wanted. Yeah.
yes, and how much they
Exactly.
wanted. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
leaps and bounds were taken
Right.
to bring
Yeah.
you here by
Mm-hmm.
so many people. People that
So
somebody
many.
that was a stranger in the beginning.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh my God.
So
Yeah.
how does the birth go for that? You said induced,
The
right?
birth, yeah. So I was induced. It was so easy. I feel like I joke that my third journey was kind of like the payback for the other journeys being easy. I say that in a very joking way because everything turned out totally fine. And when we get to that third journey, you'll see why I say
Okay.
that. But it was so easy. It was, we arrived at the hospital at, around 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I had a room, obviously. The dads had their own rooms, so we could kind of still see each other, but weren't in the room together at all times. And,
Okay.
so when I needed some space to rest or, doctors were coming in, they had a place to go where they could also have some time to themselves. And, I always like to talk about that moment before you become parents, whether it's your first child or not,
Yeah.
is just such a magical time with, between you and your partner or your support person. And, for them to have that space to do that before they completed their family, I'm so glad that they got that. So it didn't feel like I was like kind of intruding on their moment.
That's very forward thinking of the hospital that you were at because
Yeah.
they do not assign those rooms until after the baby's born, the
Yeah.
golden hour, all of that, and everybody's ready to go to rooms. So the fact
Yeah.
that they have it ahead of time, way to go, hospital.
Yeah.
I like it.
They have had a few surrogates before, and so when we went in for hospital tours and whatnot, they said, like, this is a work in progress. We're all still learning how to do this, and obviously if there's not space, then that might be a different story. But they, especially with an induction, knowing we were coming in,
Right.
they were able to kind of make sure that there would be a space available
great.
for everyone.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
So were you ever induced before with your own two?
No.
Okay.
No.
How'd that go?
Honestly, like my two were great. My oldest, her birthday is the day after Christmas. So we sometimes joke about the year that she ruined Christmas, which is very much a joke. And I will often follow it up with, "You were the best Christmas present I ever got, even though you were 12 hours late."
So funny.
And so I was just sitting there the whole day timing contractions at Christmas dinner and opening presents, and
oh my gosh.
and it was very much the like, I don't know what's happening. Am I in labor? Am I not in labor? And with my second, I was having contractions for a month. So I didn't know when it was go time. She ended up being a day late. To this day, she still runs on her own schedule. They have their personalities right from the start. So being induced was very different, but I loved it. I loved having that, like, you're going to go in on this day. This is the plan. Obviously, we all know with childbirth, things don't always go to plan. There's always a plan B, C, D, E, however many plans you need. But it was really nice to know, like, I could work up until this day, especially in the work that I do. I wanted to make sure everybody had other connections with other therapists and everybody else was supported so that I could go, deliver this baby, take my time off to recover and not be worried about leaving people in the lurch. Whereas like with my kids, I was like, well, I might be back at work on Monday. We'll see.
That's funny.
Okay.
That's funny. Very different mindsets.
So you go in at 4 when baby born, like long labor?
Baby? Not super long. We did a couple of rounds of cytotech
Mm.
first just to
Yeah.
get things started.
Can you explain what that
Once,
is,
Oh,
just for those
sorry.
who don't know?
yes, absolutely. I'm so used to just like
You're good.
dropping all the terminology.
I
Right.
am the
Cytotech,
Fine.
civilian in the conversation
yes.
because she's the
Right.
nurse and she understands
Uh-huh.
everything, and I'm just like,
Yep.
oh.
Yeah, you're like, what is all this? Cytotech is a medication that is often used to start cervical ripening. So if you are not actively in labor, it helps to thin and soften the cervix so that hopefully contractions will start on their own, dilation will start on its own. Um, and with that pregnancy, it did. With the other two inductions I had for my next two surrogacies, it didn't, and we moved on to other interventions. But we went in at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and she was born just before 6 a.m. the next day. So it really
Wow.
wasn't, yeah,
That's
it really
amazing.
wasn't a long induction at all.
That's
Mm,
amazing.
Um, I
Wow.
think I
12 hours.
pushed twice by the
Wow.
time like they checked me. I think I was at like 8 centimeters. Maybe a half an hour later, it was go time, and then that was it. She was here,
Amazing.
and that was that.
Amazing.
Yeah.
God. Did they
Wow.
do their golden hour in the room with you, or did they go to their own room?
They were in the room for a few minutes,
Okay.
obviously while they were doing, making sure baby's okay, cutting the cord, all that. And then they did do the rest of the golden hour in their own room.
Okay.
Was
Yeah.
there a reason that they decided to, like, you decided to get induced, or like your doctor decided to induce you?
Um, the doctor gave me a choice.
Okay.
She had said that there were some studies that had indicated that with IVF pregnancies that
Mhm.
there really wasn't any reason to wait until a full 40 weeks because we knew the age of the embryo, development was right on track.
Oh.
And unless there was a medical reason to induce sooner than that,
Okay.
anytime in the 39th week was fine. Um, so at that point, we kind of got to choose baby's birthday,
Nice.
which I left up to the parents. I was like,
That's
this
cute.
is your child. You just tell
Aw.
me when to be there and I'll be there.
Aw.
Yeah.
Um, and it was really great because like I said, I wasn't induced for my children. And because it was, with my kids, my first two pregnancies, I was younger. The doctors were like, as long as you don't go to 41 and one,
Right.
we're just going to let nature take its course. My doctor was really great about saying, this is partially to make sure that you stay safe. We don't need you to go to 40 plus because at that point we're worried about your placenta. We're worried about blood pressure, that sort of thing. I never had any medical issues, which was, thank goodness.
Yeah.
It was honestly, like I said, that pregnancy was a perfect pregnancy.
Mhm.
And so we kind of just were like, you know, we'll do what the doctors say is best. And thankfully the induction worked
Yeah.
and everyone was healthy.
So,
Yeah.
given that it's COVID,
Mm.
how does your family and your kids get their closure or their hello, baby, nice to meet you Earthside? How
How
does that
old are
happen?
your kids when this happens?
So in 2021, when she was born, my kids were 5 and 2.
Oh, they're
Okay, so
little.
2-year-old
So
probably
they
Okay.
doesn't
were
really.
babies.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to remember if I don't believe they went to the hospital because I'm pretty sure they were only allowing siblings, like if it were a sibling, they could come in, but where
Right,
it
yeah.
wasn't, um, I'm pretty sure we just FaceTimed.
Okay.
We
Okay.
all left 24 hours later.
Oh,
Wow.
great.
So we didn't do a full, it was a
Nice.
vaginal birth, so we didn't do our full 48-hour stay. They wanted to get home as soon as they could.
Yeah.
Like I said, they had two boys at home that they wanted to bring their baby sister
Oh.
home too. And I also, my nesting in surrogacy for that pregnancy was to renovate a bathroom in our
Oh my
house.
gosh.
We obviously hired a contractor. I wasn't ripping out any fixtures.
Sure.
But in doing that, we found that we had a very slow leak in our house and we had to move out because they found mold in the walls.
Oh,
So my I think it was like 34-week project was hopefully going to be like a 2-week bathroom renovation. Ended up being 5 months of both bathrooms and a kitchen being completely gutted and rebuilt.
Oh, jeez.
So the day after I delivered, I left the hospital, went back to my house, and directed my family in moving us out of the house into a temporary rental for the summer. And so that was, I don't ever recommend doing that either for anybody who is pregnant, postpartum, anything. Don't take on major projects like that.
But thank goodness that you found it all.
Yes, absolutely. Right. Yeah. Thank goodness we found it all right.
Yeah. Little blessings in disguise.
Ooh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so your postpartum recovery went fine. Nothing crazy happened there.
It was great. I took a full 6 weeks off. I was very lucky that since I'm in Massachusetts, we do have paid family medical leave, and it had just started in 2021. Ooh. So I was eligible for 6 weeks paid. It was, I think, either 60 or 80% of my salary, which is better than nothing.
Yeah. You didn't have that before?
That's weird.
No, my other maternity leaves were completely unpaid unless you had short-term disability, which I believe was even less of your salary, and only covered the medical recovery of delivering. So it was 6 weeks for a vaginal birth, 8 weeks for a cesarean. Yeah. I have only ever delivered vaginally. So I had only ever gotten like that 6 weeks of medical recovery. And then the next 6 weeks with my kids was completely unpaid.
Wow.
So with the surrogacy, I took the 6 weeks and then went back to work at 6 weeks because at that point I was like, I'm sleeping through the night. I'm not caring for a baby.
Right.
Why would I take more time, especially if it's unpaid?
Right.
I'm still blown away that was not.
Yeah,
that was all of America.
Massachusetts.
I am still blown away that most states don't offer that at all.
We're just spoiled because we're California. I just
seriously
feel that we're spoiled. Yeah. You don't realize it until you start talking to other people in other states. But
that's crazy.
Seems like archaic.
My new thing that I learned today.
Jeez.
Okay, so
California's just went up to 90%.
I'm so happy to hear that because I feel like what California does, Massachusetts does like a few years later.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it went up to 90.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Yep. I'm hopeful that we will be going up. Not that I'm having any more babies, but I hope that other people get to benefit from that.
Right, exactly.
It's disability in general. It's disability in general. So
Right. Yeah.
Nice.
Okay, so now you're gonna now when do you start to get the, I hate saying it, an itch, but like you're like I want to get back to it. So
about 6 weeks after delivery.
Oh my God, I love
you. The intended parents, they live in New Jersey, and they had come to Massachusetts for a family gathering, and so I got to see the baby. That's when my kids finally met her in person. Aww. And I remember saying, "Are you sure you're done? Are you sure?" And they were like, "Yes, we are very sure. We are done." Okay. And I said, "Okay, well, I'm going to apply again, but I wanted to double check because if you are even thinking about a sibling journey, I will pump the brakes and wait." And they, they're very content with their family the way it is. And so I said, "Okay, well, I'm just going to apply and see what happens." I was actually in the middle of my perinatal mental health certification training as I was applying.
Wow.
Because I also have insane ADHD. So I'm like listening on half the screen and filling out my application to carry again on the other side.
So funny.
I love that.
And the agency they obviously accepted the application and said, "We're not going to do anything right now because we know that your OB will not send any sort of clearance until you are 6 months postpartum."
Right.
Which I then got on the phone, called and said, "Is that really true?" And they said, "Yes. If you got pregnant naturally, that would be one thing, but we cannot advise you to do this until your body has healed some more." So I was like, "Fine, we'll wait."
Same agency?
Same agency. I did all 3 journeys with the same agency.
Oh, look at you.
So it's a decent enough agency. Okay.
It worked out all right. Okay. Yeah. I truly think that obviously pumping the brakes on that was the right call because
You
my
need to
body
heal.
needed more time.
Yeah.
But also, the intended parents I cared for the second and third time are family. And I don't
Oh,
think I would have met them if I had moved at the pace that I wanted to.
right.
Um, and so, like I say, everything always works out the way that
Yep.
it's supposed to.
Yeah.
Yes.
And as frustrated as I was at the time because I was ready to go,
Yeah.
it needed to happen that way.
Yeah. Aw.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
very sweet.
So when you start getting profiles, is this the first one that you see, or is it several?
So we kind of matched a little differently this time.
Ah,
Um, I had gotten a profile and we did our Zoom call. I really liked the couple. They had had a few reservations because my children were so small and were not eligible for COVID shots at the time. So they felt very strongly that everyone should be vaccinated for COVID. And I said, well, my kids aren't eligible, so that's not anything I can do. And
yeah.
and we both kind of agreed to like take some time and think.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
and I had posted something on my personal Instagram being like, first match call for journey number 2. I'm so excited. And my surrogacy agency had reposted it to their story, which I'd obviously given permission to, and was like, please share. And my intended mother slid into my DMs. Um, we joke about this a lot that like she slid into my DMs and then I had a baby for her.
Oh my
And it's like
God.
the weirdest like story.
Yeah.
But she had followed me on Instagram. My profile had been private because I post my children on there. But I saw she had followed my first set of intended parents, the surrogacy agency, and then somebody else that was involved in the agency. And I was like, oh, she must be connected in some way. I'll accept her message, let her follow, I'll follow back. And she told me her story. Now I have permission to share details about her journey and what led her to surrogacy. In 2020, she was also pregnant with her first child, and it ended up unfortunately in a loss because her
Hmm.
OB office did not have in-person appointments, and she had incredible pregnancy complications that we she hasn't I don't think she's ever really gotten a direct answer of what it was. The best that we can come up with is preeclampsia and HELP syndrome.
Oh,
um to
What's
the point
HELP
where she went in.
syndrome?
HELP syndrome is a liver disorder. Basically
Oh,
her liver was shutting down.
her liver, not
um
baby.
her liver, not baby.
oh,
But she had all the preeclampsia symptoms: blurry vision, headaches, high blood pressure, she
No.
upper right quadrant pain. She had them all, was
oh,
calling. And I understand where her doctor is coming from and saying it's safer to stay home
oh.
um,
At that time, I
at
guess.
that time. But it did end up with her having a pretty severe medical emergency
Yeah.
where she was rushed to the hospital and her son was delivered. He unfortunately did not survive because he was without oxygen so long.
Yeah.
Oh
Um,
my
and that was
God.
at 27 weeks,
Oh
which,
God. Oh, that
you
poor
know,
mama.
yeah, yeah. And then she ended up with some pretty significant medical complications after because of that as well,
Right.
to the point where she then did not go home for months. She was in the hospital. Um,
Was
and
it, was it, can I, was it mainly liver because all of that, or was it, it spiraled?
it was it was everything.
Okay.
Um,
Oh
they
gosh.
did end up
Oh,
having to do a hysterectomy to save her life
Oh
because
my
she had some
gosh.
uncontrolled bleeding
oh, this
and
poor woman.
um, and
That's
she
a
was only 30 years
lot.
old.
Oh,
So 30 years
oh,
old, should have had a very healthy,
She
normal
should
pregnancy.
have.
And
yeah.
for one
Oh,
reason or
that's
another, it didn't
heartbreaking.
end up that way. And it
So
wasn't caught in
sad.
time to save her and her son from experiencing this.
That's horrific.
It's
That's,
heartbreaking.
it's
It's
Is
it's
heart.
HELP
absolutely awful.
syndrome, because I've never heard of this, is HELP syndrome helpable? Like when you like you know what I mean? Like when you're if she were to have gone or if somebody does go. I've never heard of this condition.
Mm.
Like, do we know?
From what I understand of it, it probably would have been caught on a blood test, and most likely she would have been delivered early. Um, if it gets severe enough, you're delivered early.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, they because they never I mean, she had a
That's
couple of ultrasounds, and I think
Right.
after month 4 or 5, something like that, she was not having in-person care other than her anatomy scan.
uh,
Um, and so
Wow.
it was just one of those things that she was unfortunately a victim of
COVID.
the awful circumstances we were in with COVID, where they
Yes.
really didn't know what to do.
yep.
Right.
Um, Thankfully, when they did her hysterectomy, they were able to save her ovaries. So both
Okay.
of her now living sons are biologically hers.
Oh, thank God.
Um,
Okay. I,
and
I have
yeah,
to say one thing about this mom.
mm,
Kudos and more power to her for going, yes, this just happened to me, but what am I going to do to make my dreams come true? Like
yeah,
she didn't stop. She
mhm,
kept going, and through the grace of whoever, higher beings,
yeah,
whatever you want to believe in. I'm so heart is so happy that she was able
yeah.
to go on and that she had you. Like
Hmm.
And
that's
honestly,
stunning. Man.
I think, this is one of those circumstances where not everything happens for a reason. There's no
Right.
reason that her son is not living.
Mhm.
Right.
Um, but there is a reason why we found each other and
Right.
why she felt brave enough to send me an Instagram message that night,
Yeah.
and tell a complete stranger
Right.
her most traumatic experience.
Yep.
Right.
And in that moment, I had said to my husband, I'm going to think about this because immediately my heart just like felt for her. And
Right.
as a mom, I'm like, I can't imagine the pain she feels. And
Right.
I know if I were in her shoes, nothing would have stopped me from having my children either.
Right.
Nothing at all. And so I said, I'm going to sleep on it. And then I will reach out to the agency to see if this is even feasible for us to be matched together.
Okay.
Because even going into that journey, my number one request was I want someone as close as possible
Oh,
because I wanted them to be involved. I wanted somebody who could go to the appointments, who, if I did go into labor, could be there as quickly as possible so that they didn't miss the birth of their child.
Right.
We live an hour apart. And
that's
the
good.
only
That's
reason
close.
I didn't get their profile is because the clinic they were with had such low BMI requirements that my BMI was considered too heavy for them, by
Oh,
like 2 points.
oh,
Like
please.
it could have changed. Um,
But they could have called you. Like the
right,
BMIs these days are so wild to me. It's like, who is that low of a BMI? Like,
Yeah.
come on, let's
right.
get real.
Right.
I think their BMI requirement was like a 29 and I was at like a 31, which like
That's
we
not
all
even
know BMI for
bad.
women is like
Mhm.
5 pounds is like 1 point on BMI. Like,
Yeah. It's,
But
and
also 31 BMI is
yeah,
you're
yeah,
fine.
you're fine. Yeah.
31 BMI, 6 months postpartum. When
Yeah,
Wow.
right. Add that
going
into
Wow.
it.
Yeah.
right, and I mean, I really was like after my first journey, I was like, I'm gonna like prioritize my health, and I lost a lot of weight. I was working out a lot. Like I'd gotten my body to a place where I was like, I'm good. Like I'm good to do another journey.
Yeah.
And so that next day I woke up and I reached out to my matching coordinator and I said, I've spoken to this woman on Instagram. I want her profile. And they said, you can't because you don't qualify for their clinic. And I said, I don't care. I will qualify for their clinic if I have to.
There
You
you
go,
go.
This
girl.
is the family I need to help.
Excellent.
And
You go, girl.
we then had our matching call. And I said, no clinic is going to transfer me at 6 months. So we've got a little bit of time. It was also at this point November. So
Yeah.
I also knew
Oh,
we were going into Thanksgiving and
Yeah.
holidays
holidays.
and all that. And
Yeah.
so I was like, we've probably got a few months where we'll be fine. To which they said, we will move our embryo. We're going to call the agency,
Oh,
find out what
goosebumps.
IVF clinic they recommend, somebody that you could qualify for. We will move our clinic. And they did. And, they moved their
Wow.
embryo from Boston to Connecticut. Um, yeah,
Amazing.
which is a whole wild process I
Oh,
never
it
knew
is
about.
wild process.
So
Yes.
wild. And so we matched in November. I did our medical screening in the beginning of January. We transferred February 11th.
Wow.
Yeah,
Whoa,
we
you guys were
were
on
on
it.
it.
You were on it
Yes.
big time.
Mhm.
I think when listening to you talk, the little boy, her first son, he sent the other two to her. He sent
Yeah.
them. He sent
Mhm.
them through
Yeah.
you.
I
He sent
agree
them.
completely.
Yep.
Did you have
I
a
know I
boy?
mentioned I don't. I have two girls.
No, no, I'm sorry, did you have a boy for
Oh,
her?
Two
yeah, two
boys.
boys.
Oh, two boys. Wow, I skipped
Yep.
that part.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, no,
okay. It's
she is
okay.
like meant to be a boy mom.
Uh-huh.
Oh, so
She, three
cute.
boys.
Yep.
Her oldest was a boy, and now
Yep.
her two younger ones are boys.
Yeah.
And I
He's
had
been
only carried
amazing.
girls before, so I did not know how
Oh,
boys
look
were.
at that.
Oh,
Was it
how
different?
So
I know I'm
funny.
jumping, but was it a different
yeah,
pregnancy?
a
Yeah.
little bit, a
Okay.
little bit. I mean, they've all been different.
Hmm.
With their older son I carried, I wanted meat all the time, whereas in my first surrogacy, I didn't want meat at all. I literally
Weird.
existed on barbecue chicken subs and Cool Ranch Doritos.
Oh
That's
my
funny.
So I have told them, I was like, one of these times I'm going to come to your house with a barbecue chicken sub and Cool Ranch Doritos and see if he likes them
I
because
Oh my
love it.
in
gosh.
my head that's going to be his favorite food.
Yep, that's
That's so
hilarious.
funny. And just a side note, because I've carried two and two. So I've carried two boys, I've carried
Hmm.
two girls. And I've always could tell, like before we even did like blood work and things,
Hmm.
if it was a boy or a girl, because I would
Yeah,
crave in and out hamburgers, like nobody's business with my son
which
and the
are
only
good.
boy I had. And my
Hmm.
doctor was like, "Oh yeah, you're gonna crave more meat because you're lower in iron." And I was like, "Is that it? Whatever."
Interesting.
So,
Huh.
those myths, they might be true with the girls
Yeah.
and the
They might
sweet.
be.
Who
They
knows?
might be.
But that's funny. I
Yeah.
definitely gained a lot more weight with boys too because of all that meat.
Hmm. I think I gained the most weight with my oldest daughter because all I wanted was ice cream and fruity pebbles.
Oh
Um,
my
The
goodness.
sweets,
Together?
the
so it was just
sweets.
like pure
Together?
sugar, sometimes together.
Oh my God,
Um,
that's a lot of sugar.
delicious combination.
No,
Wow.
it sounds pretty good. It sounds like a good sugar
It's
high.
There's a
it's pretty
DQ,
great.
there's a Dairy Queen thing that they'll put Fruity Pebbles in for you now. Yeah. So you thought of
So good.
something there.
Oh, you
Okay.
should have
I
patented
mean,
it.
I really should have.
My God. Okay,
So
so
fun though.
the second and third are with this other family.
Hmm.
You transferred. It takes. Are they like optimistically cautious? Is she excited? Or what's happening?
It was it was interesting because with my first journey, the second the test was positive, it was just pure excitement.
Okay.
With this family, there was a lot of excitement. There was also so much fear,
Yeah,
Sure.
for sure.
which I can completely understand.
Understand.
They only had the one embryo,
Mhm.
and everything that they went through to get to that point was so hard that, I completely get where the anxiety came from.
Yeah.
Um, I also kind of joke that like she needed me because I am trained in this work of perinatal mental health, that like I
Yeah.
already knew working with bereaved parents means there is so much worry, there's so much anxiety, and there's joy too, but it's not the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think like we found each other for that reason.
Yeah.
I really think it wasn't until we got past week 27 that
Yeah.
there was finally an exhale.
Because
And
that's
there was
when
obviously still a lot of worry, but
she
yeah.
lost
Yeah.
him. Yeah,
Mhm.
27. Wow, that
Yeah.
far in, over
Wow.
Mhm.
halfway.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Do you tell them that you get a positive line or does everybody wait for beta? I'm curious.
I always ask
Mhm.
Yeah.
because I start testing the day I get home from transfer, even though like logically I know that that's not possible,
So you're a
but I just
serial
don't want to
tester?
miss.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's so funny.
I I even found out with both of my kids like as early as possible, like 9 DPO. I was like, there's my positive test. Which is insane. But with both couples, I asked like if I asked before transfer, if I take any tests, do you want to know or do you want to wait till beta? And they both said, well, the first couple said, if you want to share that, we would be happy to know, which of course I did because I was like, I can't sit with this all by myself.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah, no, it's too
Um,
much.
yeah.
And they
And
had been
and
through it once. They had their
yes,
twins, right? Okay.
they had their twins. So they kind of they knew and we both kind of were it feels like looking back on it, we both were so anxious about like not being too much that like I was too afraid to be like well, I'm going to take a test. Do you guys want to like be on FaceTime while I wait for the results? Or, like we
Aw.
both kind of were like, oh, it's up to
Aw.
you. It's up to you.
Aw.
That's
Um,
cute. Oh, I want to be on
it
the
was
phone
really
when I
cute.
take a test.
Right.
That'd be fun.
Right.
It's only like
With
3 minutes or something, right? It's not that
It's really
long.
not
Yeah.
that long.
Yeah.
With the second couple, I asked the same thing and they said, yes, we want to know
Okay.
either way because we want to be prepared if it's going to be negative,
Okay.
but
Right.
we
Fair.
also want to know if it's positive.
Oh.
So I had said like, at some point between day 3 and 5, I will start taking tests. She sent me some tests via Amazon. Thank goodness for Amazon.
Yeah.
And I remember the day I got the positive, I I just texted her first name in all caps, and she FaceTimed me and she said, it's positive, isn't it? And I said,
Aw.
yes, it's positive.
So
And I showed it to
sweet.
her and we all cried.
I bet.
Her
I'm
in-laws were
crying right
at her
now.
house
Jesus
at
Christ.
that point too. And so it was just such a great moment. And I was so glad to share that with them. I think it's really different, at least it was for me, working with a same-sex couple versus a heterosexual couple, because I could see that she knew what she was missing. She had been through it before. She
Yeah.
knew the feeling of getting that positive test. She knew the feeling of, every doctor's appointment and all of those things. So I wanted her to be as involved as I could have her be, so that even if she wasn't the one physically experiencing it, she was with me emotionally through it.
Oh,
Yeah.
so sweet.
That's very
Yeah.
sweet.
So that pregnancy goes pretty good, no? Yeah.
It went pretty well. When I was, I think, 26 weeks, the one and only time I've ever had COVID, I got it during that pregnancy.
Oh,
I have been working from home since the
yeah.
world shut down. I have never gone back in person. So
Oh,
I
no.
had very little exposure, and just happened that, a member of my
Or
family got
something.
it and
Oh,
it went
okay.
through the house.
Yup.
So after that, we did have extra monitoring, which
Sure.
we did find I had a cyst on my placenta, which they did say was probably viral related.
Oh,
Um, but really, the only thing that happened was we had extra ultrasounds to monitor it.
okay.
Of course, our first question was, what does this mean? Because
Yeah.
I'd never experienced that. I'd never even heard of it.
Me neither.
In its worst case, it can affect intrauterine growth.
Hmm.
So baby could be smaller.
Oh,
He was not.
Okay.
It didn't really impact anything. He was fine, but we were doing weekly ultrasounds and non-stress tests. Two
Okay.
different days I was at the hospital every week,
oh wow, that's a lot.
which also meant 2 different days a week. She was driving to the hospital as well because she wanted to be there for everything she could.
Yeah,
Oh.
And I think really like that's what bonded us to this
for
point
sure.
where like we are family now. And
Yes.
we had all of these really amazing talks while I was strapped to all these monitors and we were making
Yeah.
sure baby was okay. And we did towards the end start to notice with some of the NSTs that things were a little off. He was like the wild child pregnancy. He never stopped moving.
Oh, geez.
And then when I was 38 weeks, 5 days, we were going into an ultrasound, and I said to the doctor, he is moving, but it's not as much.
Oh.
And that's always, that red flag of like, what's happening here. So we did extra long ultrasound, we did an NST. This is the one and only ever time I've ever fired a nurse from my care. Because with that NST, the nurse was like, everything looks fine. And I said, no, it's not. Like we have had weekly NSTs for now 10 weeks.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Go compare them.
Yeah.
My intended mom, at one point, she took over the conversation because I was getting so upset and
Yeah.
she could just see it in my face.
Sure.
And she was just like, no, we would like to speak to the doctor. The nurse even said, and I will never forget this quote, just because you've been pregnant before doesn't mean you're an expert.
Oh, snap.
Yeah.
Get away
To
from
which
me
I
right
said,
now.
I am not an expert, but I am an expert on this baby because I know how he moves, how he
Yeah.
behaves, and this is different.
You go, girl. Way to clap back.
Thank
I was
God.
like, and my thing has always been, these parents are not losing another child. I don't care what I have to do.
Right.
That is not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and between the two of us, we actually also got our agency involved. We had our coordinator on the phone, and she was
Wow.
also saying, like, do I need to call legal? Like, is this a
Good.
situation we need to call legal?
Okay.
And thankfully we did it. And the doctor, of course, it always happens during shift change. So we had
Of
to
course it
wait
does.
for, report, and can't just be in the middle of a shift when it's super quiet.
Hmm.
So we waited an hour or so. Doctor came on and said, go home, get your stuff, get your husbands, come back. We're inducing tonight.
Okay.
Um,
Fair.
and
Fair.
he was a 24-hour induction. He was a fun one.
Wow.
Um,
Oh.
but it,
So
and we did this, yeah.
can I ask a question? So did they ever find out what was the difference with the NST? What was it? Did the cyst get bigger? Did it just what? Nothing? Okay.
They didn't really figure anything out. It did show that there was a little bit of decreased fetal movement.
Okay.
I think in a normal pregnancy, it wouldn't have been enough to do anything
Okay.
because on paper he did pass.
Yeah.
But given
The
and
history.
my intended mom had been very vocal about her history
Okay.
because it is important. It's her child,
100%.
it's her husband's child, the same DNA that was her older son. And
Right.
so, we were very clear to be like, this happened before. We will be advocating for everything we can. And the doctors thankfully were like, he's good enough. Like
Good.
38, 5, he's healthy. Let's induce before there maybe becomes a problem,
Good.
which thankfully we did.
Yeah.
After the one and only time I've had delivery complications was this pregnancy.
Oh,
Um, and I delivered, he was 7 pounds, 14 ounces. He
good
came out
size.
screaming,
Good
super
size.
healthy baby.
Okay.
My placenta would not deliver.
No,
Oh,
not what it
the worst.
needs.
Yes, the worst, the absolute worst. So,
Oh,
My
they're trying to get
fear.
it out, cord detaches, and then my placenta falls apart.
Oh, no,
oh,
no,
Um,
oh
no. Did they
God.
rush you? Are you going to surgery?
Freaking A.
no, thankfully, they
Oh,
were
you said
able to manually deliver it all.
ow.
Um,
With their hand
yeah,
all the way up to the elbow?
thankfully, the epidural was working
Okay,
and
thank
I
goodness.
didn't feel it. I didn't remember it. However,
Okay.
my poor husband was sitting directly
Oh,
across the room watching all of this happen.
oh.
Um, And my intended mom at one point was just like, Ashleigh, tell him you're okay. Tell him you're okay because
Right.
they're
It
now
doesn't
witnessing
look okay. Yeah.
all of it. Does not look okay.
Yeah, no.
And,
Wow.
thankfully I was fine. I did not need a blood transfusion.
Good.
Baby was healthy. I was healthy, but it was really the closest I'd ever come to any like real complications.
Yeah.
Um,
That's scary.
and
So they
yeah, it
removed,
was really scary.
they got it all out there. You and then maybe just did an ultrasound later to see if everything was okay. You didn't have to
Yep.
go into an OR and thank God.
No,
Okay, good.
thankfully. And that was also the first time I had used a midwife.
Oh, okay.
I I've always been pro like whoever's in the delivery room is in the
Yeah.
delivery room as
Yeah.
long as we all still stay healthy. I don't really care.
Yeah.
Um, and it just happened that the doctor was busy, and so the midwife came in to deliver us, and
Good.
she was wonderful.
Aw.
But then that happened, and of course, all the buttons go off, doctors
Yeah.
rush in, and
Yeah.
and thankfully we had the help we needed to make sure that everything was under control.
Thank
And that
God.
you were
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, you were
Yeah.
And that
okay.
I was
Right.
okay.
Yeah.
I'm curious, did
Yeah.
you have to get a DNC before your next transfer?
No.
Ew.
Wow.
Wow, they
Yeah.
did get it all. Wow.
They got it all. I had an ultrasound at my 6 week follow up too, just to double check.
Sure.
Right.
And my OB was like, obviously, if there's anything else in there, you probably would know by now, but we're just
Right.
going to completely be sure.
Good as you
And
should.
yes, absolutely. And thankfully, everything, was passed during delivery and there, was no complications.
I
Good.
don't just one more
Hmm.
question on this one and then we can move on. Did you have extra postpartum bleeding because of that or no? Do you think?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
I definitely did. And it was all towards the beginning of my postpartum.
Right.
Like I
Okay.
think I was done bleeding earlier than I ever had.
Okay.
Because
Oh,
it was just more at once.
At once. Yeah. Because that area, unless they cauterized it, is just
Right.
going to be a flesh wound inside.
Exactly.
Right. And just bleed, 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 and then start to
Mhm.
heal itself. So I kind of
Yeah.
thought you would have been, but I was interesting. Okay. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. I did take, I did switch from, I don't tolerate prenatals with iron well usually,
Right.
but I did switch to
Good.
prenatals with iron
Good.
just to make sure that, you know, my body recovered appropriately
Absolutely.
after.
Good for you.
Oh my gosh. Oh
Whew.
my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So okay, so I know there's some a little chaoticness going on, but what's mama doing when baby comes out? Like, is she crying, screaming, oh my God, this is so fantastic? Like, what is she doing? And is she down there seeing
Right.
baby come out?
She delivered baby.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, stop!
Yay! Oh my
She
God, I'm so
delivered
excited.
baby. I think this is the
I'm
experience
so
we got
excited.
because we had a midwife that I
Okay.
don't think we would have had with a doctor.
Right.
We also had a birth photographer, which I had never done before. And
That's fun.
so thankful we did because the pictures
Oh,
are, I mean, I'll send you guys pictures later on, but
Oh my gosh. I love that.
the pictures are, I still can't, now we're almost 3 years later, I still can't look at them without tearing up.
no, that's so sweet.
But we finally got to last push and the midwife said, all right, come down. Ashleigh, you push. And then she said to the mom, you pull. And the midwife shoved the intended mom's hand up into the birth canal and she delivered her son.
Oh my.
Um,
Does she have a glove on or just her hand?
yeah, no, just her hand.
All right
Yeah.
then.
It was
Our
it was
family.
one of those like, oh,
You
we
really
are
are family now. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's been in your
We
hoo-hoo. It's fine.
exactly. I'm like, we have no boundaries here.
I
Like
love
this
it.
is we're just
What a
so are where we are.
redeeming moment for that
Yeah.
mama.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I just
Yeah.
want to hug her. Yeah.
I know.
That's awesome.
You know, and he comes out, they place him on my stomach, cut the cord, and then mom and dad got to sit down holding him next to me. So which was I always say to people like the best moment in any surrogacy is the moment that the parents meet their child. And so like just to be able to have that moment like literally right next to me,
Oh,
I just like
in
I
pure
was
bliss.
overcome with emotion. They were overcome with emotion. And I truly think it was the first time in the full 9 months she ever totally relaxed.
Probably. Yeah.
Mhm.
Wow.
Oh,
She could finally breathe.
yeah.
She could finally breathe. She had her baby and everybody was okay.
Yes.
And it was just
God.
That's
So-
magical.
I was going to be done. That was going to be my last one.
Oh, okay.
And I said to her the next day in postpartum,
Oh my God.
Next day.
don't find another surrogate. When you guys are ready, I will be ready. And she said, we will talk again in 3 months. I'm not holding you to this. And I said, that's fine, but I'm still going to say this in 3 months. And
That's awesome.
I did.
I love that.
Part 2 coming tomorrow. If you enjoyed this podcast, be sure to give us a like and subscribe. Also, check out the link to our YouTube channel in the description. And be sure to also check out our children's book, My Mom Has Superpowers, sold on Amazon and Etsy.